All right, and welcome to Hattrick Sports Talk. We are back on a Monday. Happy birthday, Brandon. We are doing the show on your birthday. How does it feel, man?
You know, it's another year done. It's you get to be 24 and it doesn't really mean much to you anymore.
Yeah, I feel
Just
It's
that
another
even
it's
year
at
closer to
20.
it's
death.
just exactly Shane. To be honest, it's kind like I never thought I would get to that point, but like it's kind of how I feel. It's just another rotation closer to the grave. But you know, at least I'm here with you guys to
Yep,
talk with our ridiculous hot takes about sports. So
as always. All right, let's get to first before we get to some NFL stuff. Of course, we just watched the Bills demolish the Patriots. What a surprise. Not really. But we'll get to that in a bit. But first, we're going to talk about this crazy Padres rotation with Blake Snell joining them. Correct. So let's talk about where the Padres are at with this rotation. Brennan, you go first. You got Darvish and Snell, and Clev will be available in 2022 for them.
yeah, this wow, this lineup is nuts. They get you Darvish today along with Blake Snell. And Darvish isn't is and honestly like Darvish is good, but Blake Snell is the real like
The real deal
cherry.
here.
It's the cherry on the top.
Right.
It's the guy
Getting
that everybody
Snell.
cares about. Uh man, I first of all, if you are a uh Tampa Bay Rays fan, you are gutted. You just lost your main piece of the pitching staff.
For literally probably
And after
not much.
losing the World Series.
Right
Yeah.
after he got pulled stupidly by their manager.
Manager. Yeah.
Um, I think Darvish is an interesting pickup because he's not exactly someone who's going to give you like major innings in a game. He'll maybe at this point in his career he'll maybe give you 6 innings most, which is pretty good. He'll set it up. Uh, and then they've got everybody else. Paddock is pretty good. And I don't know about that. Honestly, with the addition of Darvish and Snell, they're basically screaming at Trevor Bauer, "Come here!"
Yeah.
Like we're trying to create a dominant bullpen, like pitching staff. Um, and then add to the fact that they have the option to pick up Clevenger in 2022, who is very good friends with Bauer.
Power. Yeah.
I mean, oh my god, this is close to as close to the best. This could be the close to the best pitching staff in the bigs.
What's interesting about the Padres is like how many years has it been before you saw some excitement in that city in San Diego from their fan base and everything else, and now with this rotation and Bauer, like I can't see why this isn't the top option for Bauer right now. Man, it could get interesting. The one thing that I also want to discuss with both of you, I think this goes to a larger point, is this offseason in the MLB has actually been interesting. The Mets have just said that we're going to go out and spend money. These teams are spending some cold, hard cash, and they haven't done that for a few years in free agency.
Yeah, it is interesting. But you're not really seeing big names really flying around though that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly a lot of teams kind of swapping, um, swapping picks, swapping minor leaguers. This is really the first big major deal that I've seen this offseason. Yeah,
I mean, at least teams are saying that they want to spend money. And I don't think that's been
yeah.
the case for a while.
Well, I mean, I think teams spend money. Um, I just think I'm a little surprised that they would be doing it in an offseason after a season where they had no fans in the stands.
Yeah, but I mean, but let's be honest. How many times have we how many times have fan bases asked teams like, "Hey, spend like more of your budget, right?" And teams are saying they're willing to do that, but I think now more than ever, you're going to see that kind of turning in, especially maybe not fully this offseason. I think you'll see it some this offseason, but definitely in the next few offseasons. Shane, your thoughts on how MLB teams are going to plan to spend money now and into the future?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think San Diego's kind of an interesting example of this because they, as you said, are not a team that's been, really recognized that much on, at least on a national level, just because they kind of fly under the radar, I think, under some of these teams that do go out and spend a lot and have these great franchises like Dodgers, New York, whatever. But I mean, I'm glad that it's a bit of a sidetrack, but I am glad that San Diego's finally, that San Diego fans finally kind of have this something to be excited about, because I feel really bad for any sports fan there because they keep getting all their teams jacked from them. The Chargers,
Stupidly, by the
Clippers.
way.
Yeah. And so that's, it's like, hey, you got your good baseball team now, why not? Let's go San Diego. I mean, and on top of that, if they did get Trevor Bauer, because he naturally brings attention wherever he is, because he's
I would
very
say
vocal.
positive attention now for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
positive.
Usually.
I mean, the man can come across a little cocky, but to be honest, he's that good.
But I mean, it's like, regardless, it's it is still gonna kind of put a spotlight on San Diego, at least nationally, and they're gonna, I'm sure that like hype will kind of feed into there. I mean, now it's just a matter of getting the bats going, obviously, but yeah, I mean, it's, I think baseball is such an interesting sport in terms of money, because it's like it's the one sport in America that doesn't really feel like a TV product, and it's also, compared to the other ones, that is, and it's also the sport that doesn't have salary cap.
It has
So
budgeting
just,
and luxury tax.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like, theoretically, there's no limit on how much you can
Right.
spend.
It's all about who has the richest owners.
Yeah, pretty much. So I don't know. It's interesting because, I mean, it's, you just, when you have it that way, it feels like it takes away some of the competitive edge. However, you can have like a random team come in with a good owner and start spending a bunch of money, and then all of a sudden they're on the map. You know what I mean? It's
and making some good trades and stuff like that as well.
Now, I will ask this question. Do you think it's a little risky for the Padres to start making huge moves like this when they don't know if they can be as successful through a full 180 game season?
I think this is a team, and I think you're going to start to see this as well with the Mets, that are like, all right, we're going to play into the hype and make moves. And I think teams realize that just kind of sitting back. Why is San Diego now in a position to sit back right now? Even if it doesn't work out, you'll still be commended for making these moves and putting a really good team out there. I think once they got Cleb, you kind of saw a change in that culture there, in that positive direction. So regardless of which, they're in a spot where they're like, we're just going to go all in. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But again, look at the Dodgers. They went all in this year and got the title. So,
well, the difference. Sorry to interrupt you, Shane. But the difference is, Robert, they went all in this year on a shortened season.
Yeah.
Like, it's
your
not
concern
the same thing.
Your concern is the 182, like the full season.
Right. Like, yeah. Like, it's my same argument with like a team like Houston, for example. Like, a team like Houston would not have been in the playoffs in a full 180 game season.
They were really bad.
Like, no, they would not have made it. to the playoffs. And so that's kind of my thing. Like, I do believe that San Diego is good. I believe that they are, like, making it to the playoffs good. But I'm going to need to see it, you know?
But again, if you're that front office, this makes a ton of sense. You know,
Yeah, that's fair.
I will ask this question. I do feel that in baseball, speaking of vetoing trades and stuff that we talk about with their fantasy leagues, which is obviously good. But in this case, and with the trade last year with the Dodgers and the Red Sox, some of these trades for these big name stars just don't necessarily add up for me. Like, it doesn't seem like, I mean, this is the case for the NBA as well. We saw this with the James Harden trade, but again, it's like the value that you're getting in is not the value that you're getting by trading a star player is not the value that you're bringing into your clubhouse. And that's tough.
I think the difference is, you have to look at where these teams are at and what they're looking to do. I think, and it doesn't really apply in this case because I think I don't know exactly what Tampa Bay was going for. I don't know why they would get rid of their star pitcher when
they made the World Series.
Yeah, I mean, they get four big prospects of top prospects from San Diego, and they get three big top prospects from San Diego, plus a catcher that they have 4 years of team control on.
Okay, so that's not bad, but even so, for a team that made the World Series and is still in a position to be competitive, is this really a trade that benefits the Rays at all?
Especially when,
at least not right now.
Especially when Blake Snell was like a prime reason they made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, they should have won that World Series if it wasn't for the manager pulling him. So I wonder if that had anything to do with this trade. I don't think it did, but it might have.
Well, I mean, Snell made it very clear that he wanted to be traded, I think.
Yeah, that was a bad move all around. Okay, moving on from trading to releasing, Dwayne Haskins has been released from the Washington football team. It's been pretty tumultuous, at times pretty ugly. Of course, we know he lost his captaincy due to COVID protocol misses by going to a strip club, a la James Harden. But it's honestly, like, I'll be honest, it's fairly depressing for both sides that this move had to be made. He should have played much better. I felt that, he came into the NFL a little raw, but I felt, especially with Ron Rivera under his tutelage, I mean, look at what he's doing with Alex Smith right now. I mean, Alex Smith is already a prime veteran, but even so, like, I thought with Ron Rivera, there could have been something there, but unfortunately there wasn't.
Yeah, I was always hopeful and optimistic that maybe he would, improve, and he still could, depending on where he ends up or if he gets a shot to start. I don't know how likely that is at this point. But realistically, in the back of my mind, I didn't think it would happen. I didn't really see him taking a big step forward. And it is kind of sad because, I mean, I feel like it was kind of a strange situation where he didn't have much experience and he was drafted by this. I mean, he only played 14 games in college.
15.
Yeah. And so, bringing him from an amazing team also in Ohio State.
Yeah.
And throwing him into a terrible team last year. And saying, and then, midway through the season going, okay, you're going to start now.
When he wasn't ready.
He was not ready. I mean, I don't want to absolve him of all fault here, but I feel like they sort of set him up for failure in a way.
Yeah, Jay Gruden really didn't do him any favors by playing him when he didn't have to.
Yeah. Now, it's not entirely, it's not entirely, other people's fault.
No, it's both. It's both Haskins and the organization, and all. It's both. It goes both ways.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I imagine he'll get re-signed somewhere, at least as a backup. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know if he's gonna start right now or in the next year or two. We'll see. I don't know. He could end up being like a Teddy Bridgewater story where he is kind of a not a great starter and then plays as a backup in a good organization and then comes out and does pretty well. I don't know. Or he could be like a Geno Smith.
I mean, you saw signs in Teddy, right, where he could be a starter even coming out of Louisville. I mean, I saw it with Haskins, but I don't know. It's been rough. Brandon, your thoughts on Haskins' time with Washington?
Well, first of all, it started out rough for him with the fact that he was only drafted there because the owner said to draft him.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a great start when the GM doesn't want to draft him and
the coach doesn't.
The coach doesn't want to draft him and nobody wants to draft him. I mean, he came out really immature, hardly any experience. As Shane said, just protected by a god tier team, which I believe he played. It was his team that played the Huskies in the Rose Bowl.
I think so. I think they made the playoff that year. Maybe I don't remember.
And if you remember, I think it was his.
Yeah, it was. I think.
And if you remember, he
threw like 2 picks or something. I think
looked like Shiza. And I remember being like, we are getting ran all over by the running back, but we are doing whatever we want to this quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never had any sympathy for him because I've thought that he has never shown that he actually wants to change his ways at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he's had so many chances, way more than any other quarterback would have gotten in his position.
Yeah. And this goes back to a larger point that I think, Shane, you can sort of attest to, and this is something that I've tried to sort of figure out. Let's be honest here. Drafting the quarterback position and developing a quarterback over, let's say, the last, I don't know, we can go back to maybe 2012, 2013, but particularly the last couple of years. When you draft a quarterback, you can, as an organization, build him into a starter. Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert's a perfect example. I'm sure there's many more guys that I'm missing. It's based on how the league has turned. Burrow, right? The league has turned more. Right. The league has turned more collegiate at the quarterback position in terms of how the play styling works. So theoretically, even if you're only coming in with 15 games of experience, obviously right organization is huge, and that's clearly been or part of the case with Haskins. But with guys like Haskins and Rosen, I mean, Rosen's much different because he's been jumping around all over the place, so it's been rough for him. But again, what is it? Where is that disconnect when you could make an argument building and developing a franchise quarterback is easier than ever before?
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because I mean, you can even look at guys like Kyler or Baker who only had one season as a starter in college, and you could say the same thing about them as you would about Haskins, but they're doing, but Baker and Kyler are doing pretty well in the NFL. I mean,
They're
Baker's
doing
kinda up and
franchise
down,
quarterback
but
stuff.
you're
What's going
right,
on?
right. And maybe that's a testament to Lincoln Riley. I think maybe it is a little bit, but regardless, they were able to, adapt their system through either coaching or just their own abilities. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you need the right coach, which I feel like they have with Ron Rivera. And you, as a player, need to have, the mental toughness and the maturity to not only want to get better, but, be a leader, because it's kind of what you have to be as a quarterback. And I just feel like that was kind of missing from him, even if it seemed like it wasn't, because, here he is going out to strip clubs during COVID and all this stuff. And it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? That's like, that just shows to me that, like Brennan said, he doesn't really want it. You know what I mean? Whereas I look at guys like, I mean, even if he does, he doesn't necessarily act like it, right? But
And
even if, yeah, go ahead.
you also have to ask the question, like, how did he get captaincy in the first place? Like, he had
That's
his
a fair
captaincy
question.
taken from him, but like, who gave him captaincy? Because the man never showed off any position of cap. I mean, think about the quarterbacks who are captains in the NFL: Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning.
Everyone's
Tom Brady.
every quarterback's a captain, but he's a backup being a captain when you can make a clear argument that Alex Smith probably deserved that captaincy, even coming off
Right.
injury.
But like, here's the thing: every quarterback I can think of actually showcases leadership
Captaincy.
that is deserved of captaincy. Like, Alex Smith is the only one who doesn't. I'm not Alex Smith.
Haskins.
Haskins. Yeah,
And sometimes Baker.
yeah. That's sometimes.
And then let's
I
switch
feel
over
like he's getting
to.
better, though.
I feel let's shift over to this because we were going to talk about this in the preseason, but I forgot. Josh Rosen. I think this is a good time to bring him up since he was the backup quarterback for the Niners last week. Shane, what do you feel went wrong in his career? Because it is much different in terms of that. He's kind of jumped all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, Rosen's an interesting case for me because, like, it's no secret. I never really was high on him to begin with. You know, like, even at UCLA, I thought he was just okay. I mean, I wasn't like, yeah, he was good, but I wasn't looking at him like, oh, this guy's going to be a star in the NFL. I was like, yeah, he'll be, like a mediocre backup probably. And that's, pretty much what he's been. So, it's interesting though, because he's like a first round pick, or was he? No, he wasn't first overall.
He went 12th to the Cardinals, I
12th
think.
to the Cardinals.
10 to 12, something around that range.
Yeah. And so, he was a high first rounder, let's put it that way. And I felt like the same thing, like he was kind of set up for failure. And he was. He obviously didn't do well, but then I wish they had. I like, part of me wishes the Cardinals had not kept him as a starter, but at least kept him around, and
Really?
well, yeah, and just try and help him develop and be consistent in one place instead of shuffling him off to 3 different teams,
He's not good.
I think
I know,
he's
but
good.
I would disagree
want
with
to
you.
give him a fair, no, I think he's terrible. But I think if you want to give him a fair shot, I think you just sending him to all these different teams. I mean, this is like what his 4th team in 3 years. Doing that is not gonna do him any favors. That's just setting him up for failure.
Yeah, but that was my biggest problem. Like, you look at what Brian Flores is doing to Tua, right? And how like they're mixing mashing Tua and Fitzpatrick and all. Well, I mean, it's not the same. It's not entirely the same. I get it. But my biggest problem is that I still like, what was he really that bad that training camp in Miami that he couldn't at least have started the whole year? I just like with Rosen, like seriously,
Patrick is miles ahead of Rosen.
Yeah.
But again, opinion. Like I watched his highlights back in Arizona, and I thought, okay, there's building blocks here. But as Shane said, he hasn't really gotten the opportunity to see those building blocks grow. Honestly,
hasn't had a consistent place or anything.
Here's the problem with where he's at in the NFL. He's stuck in that like perpetual. The problem with the NFL at quarterback is, especially with how many like quarterbacks are being churned out now.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a top talent quarterback and you fail and you're not what was promised, you're gonna get stuck in the whirlpool that is backup quarterback. See, like you just end up not being given a chance. And I mean, maybe he didn't. I think he only got given 1 year with the Cardinals, right?
1 year, yep, one full season.
And to be fair, like I don't think that's fair. I think like even the worst quarterbacks should be given
at least 2.
Yeah, because like I mean, I can think of multiple quarterbacks who I thought were absolute dog crap their first year, and they ended up impressing me their second year. Guys like
but Josh Allen, his percentages.
Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. Well, to be fair, it was the opposite. Baker Mayfield was pretty good his first year, and then he was kind of bad his second year.
And then the third year, he's been nice.
Right.
With the right coach, Kevin Stefanski.
But
in the third year, he went
who knows? Yeah. I mean, who knows? Like, I'm not a Josh Rosen fan, but like, anyway, my point is this, like, my thing with Tua is like, I've said this multiple times, right? Like, I believe this year should, like, at this point they've like committed to the like vibe is so strongly with Fitzpatrick that they should just like honestly give into it and let Fitzpatrick do his thing for the rest of the year. And then because he already like everybody already knows that he's like, look, next year it's Tua's team, right? Like
it should be. We're not making the argument that it shouldn't be.
And like it's gonna be his team next year. Everybody knows that. Fitzpatrick knows it. Whatever. But personally, I think you've done so much. You kind of passed the point of no return in terms of making the argument like Tua should be able to play out the season, you know? But
can I refine this argument a bit? Sure. I feel like it needs a bit of refining. Fitzpatrick, for all of his magic, quote unquote, the magic runs out. And it runs out after a couple weeks. And they knew that, and that's when they started Tua. Regardless of morale, for this team to win in the playoffs, I feel like the best way for them to go is Tua plays like 3 quarters. And if it gets really bad, they put in Fitzpatrick. I know that sounds horrible from a rally perspective. I know it sounds bad.
So basically, Robert, you're basically being like, let's put in the shitty young kid and then just throw in the veteran. You're throwing in he's been pretty bad this year, Robert.
He hasn't been that great,
Robert.
But I don't think he's
good. Like
I don't know.
And to be fair,
the jury's still out on him.
To be fair, like he could be better if you were to, I don't know, have like just thrown him in the deep end from game 1 and gone learn to swim. But
I think the 6 weeks were good for him. No, but like I know this sounds horrible, but honestly, does Miami win a game in the AFC playoffs that they don't do it this way. Shane, your thoughts? Because that's the only way I can think about how to do this properly.
Yes, they win a game if they let Fitzpatrick play. Hell yeah.
I don't think they win a game.
Bro,
regardless of who they play.
It depends on who they play.
I think regardless of who they play, probably.
I don't know why you're such a hater on Fitzpatrick.
I think he's because he dies. No, because I like him, but the magic dies, and they need to avoid.
Well, it hasn't died yet, so
it hasn't died because they haven't given him they haven't played him a full year. They know that Fitzpatrick plays great for 6 weeks, and then he has a 3-pick game, and then it's downhill from there. That's what his career has been. It's not like he's a great backup. He's a good starter. He's capable in that position, but other than that. He dies though. I'm not saying that I don't like Fitzpatrick. I'm saying that he just dies, and you don't want to be in a playoff game, win or go home, and he just dies on you.
Look, he already had his bad game against the Seahawks, so
that I'm not looking at that. That was the previous 6 weeks. I'm talking about this period here. Shane, your thoughts on this? Again, I know what I'm saying sounds really weird and honestly pretty bad. But I can't figure out a better way to handle the situation.
Yeah.
I'll say this. Robert, you were saying, next year it's going to be Tua's team.
We know that it will be and it should be. Fine.
And even Ryan knows that. He went to Harvard. He's smart. He can figure that out.
7th round pick, balling.
Yeah. But Fitzpatrick has spent his whole career as a journeyman, going from team to team, team to team, never really feeling like he belongs anywhere, that a single team is his.
It could have been Tampa the first go around in Tampa, I believe.
Now,
got that huge contract, but
now that he finally is in the position to go to the playoffs with a team that I would argue he put in that position, at least offensively, not Tua, Fitzpatrick. He's probably not going to play much longer after this because he's getting older.
He's 36, I think, right?
38. I don't know. He's up there.
Yeah, I have to
but anyways, the way I see it, it's you know what? Just let the beard finally have his time to shine in the playoffs. Even if he doesn't
if he dies, you don't care? Even if the magic dies?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it will because Tua had been playing. Fitzpatrick just went in the last game after 2 or 3 games out. So, yeah, he'll be all right. His magic won't die quite yet, probably. But
watch them get to the Super Bowl.
I don't know. Yeah, that'd be funny. I just feel like Miami owes it to him as
that's
one
fair.
last hurrah, just because his whole career of just kind of mediocre teams, and then finally.
Wait, didn't he play that Jets 10-win season, or am I mistaking that?
Yeah, but I mean that's one thing.
Yeah.
Now he's at the end of his career and he finally has a good team, legit team. It's you know what? Let's just give him the reins, go have his fun, and then, part ways.
You're saying even if it doesn't work, just do it.
Even if it doesn't work, just let the guy ball.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Going for just give the man his chance. He doesn't expect. He doesn't see himself as the future incarnate for the team. He just wants. I don't even know how many more years this guy's gonna play.
I wouldn't be surprised if he retired after this year, to be honest.
Yeah.
The problem, the problem is the morale of the team and all these things. But honestly, I've come to a point. I think the coaching staff is definitely there. That's why Tua is still the starter. I wonder if we need to throw that out the window.
I mean, the morale I feel would be higher if you put
Fitzpatrick in.
Because they love him and they kind of hate Tua.
I don't know.
Tua doesn't exactly strike confidence in my heart.
Let's save the Tua conversation for like week 10 of next year. Let's save it because it needs saving.
I think it's fair to start having a conversation about Tua in week 5 because look,
week 5 is fair. Let's put it there. I think that's much more fair. Yeah.
Columbus
I think that's
Day,
fair.
2021.
I think that's fair. Your calendars.
I think that's fair.
Indigenous People Day.
Yes. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know what. I really don't. I think. Here's the reality. I think that Brian Flores doesn't know what to do, and he's doing what feels safe, which is play Tua, and if it struggles, put in Fitzpatrick. I know it sucks, but I'm there too. It sucks. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. Honestly, Fitzpatrick always seems to put himself in these positions, but frick it.
See, Robert, you're not adventurous. You're not a risk taker, my dude. You gotta be more like.
Not with this team when they're making the playoffs, or looks like they will at this point.
Well, regardless, Tua is going to be the worst quarterback in Florida next year because they'll have Brady in Tampa and Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville.
Can we move on to that?
I'm still not sold. I still don't think that Trevor is going to be that amazing in the NFL, but I will.
You know what matters for Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville? A new coaching staff.
Well, yeah, that would matter for anybody.
Doug Marrone is not a good coach. Their GM is not a good GM.
They should call up Peyton Manning.
That's gonna matter. I think
they need to call up Peyton Manning.
Joking.
Call up Peyton Manning. Be like, yo, Peyton.
Urban Meyer. There you go.
Call up Peyton Manning. Be like,
awesome.
Yo, Peyton. Do you have any more like people that you could suggest for coaching for head coaches who can tank a team? Yeah. Okay, sure. Although you say Urban Meyer, apparently there's a lot of rumors that wherever Trevor goes, Urban Meyer is like interested.
Well, he's going to be the one drafting him, so it'd be Jacksonville. Can I also say a couple other candidates? I think Lincoln Riley makes sense for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dabo Sweeney.
Oh God.
Maybe. I think he deserves an NFL shot. That's a reach.
No,
that's a reach.
Dabo doesn't deserve.
That would be interesting.
Dabo doesn't deserve anything. Dabo is the worst.
He said some weird stuff this year. I will say that much.
Actually, the worst. The only reason I would want to see Dabo leave the NFL is leave the college is so that I can see the worst. The organization that has made me hate a college football team more than Alabama crumble to the ground. And 2, see Dabo Sweeney have to deal with being the coach of Jacksonville. So
I have a coach that I'm like, I don't know, where am I at? 80% sure this. No.
Russell Wilson.
He hasn't done great in UCLA, unfortunately. I have a coaching candidate that's someone to watch, other than the main ones that we already kind of understand in the NFL ranks. John Harbaugh is one to watch. I really think that I'm at 80% he's going back to the NFL right now. Reports are swirling, and honestly, these rumors are swirling faster than any year that Harbaugh has been at Michigan. I know he has like a lifetime contract, a bunch of money, but I really think this guy is going to look at the NFL and say that this is a tantalizing opportunity. Maybe it's Jacksonville. Maybe it's somewhere else. I think the rumors are swirling faster and becoming more real.
If I was a Jacksonville fan, I would not want Harbaugh anywhere close to my team.
I would want him over anybody else.
Dude, he's bad.
He's better than Doug Marrone.
Better than Marrone.
True.
Not only that, he rebuilds teams. Like Michigan was horrible. Stanford was horrible. The Niners were horrible.
Still horrible.
Well, relative to what they did before.
When he came in there,
they were even worse. And then the Niners, of course. I really think he's perfect for Jacksonville because that team defensively isn't too. I feel like he could put that team on the map really quickly with Lawrence.
I would want to see Harbaugh take over in Philadelphia.
Are we really gonna fire Doug Peterson?
Yes.
My answer is no.
He was on the hot seat this year, and
I don't think he deserves to be.
I do.
Why do you feel like he deserves to be?
Because he had one Super Bowl and hasn't done anything else.
I think Jeffrey Lurie is the problem. I think Jeffrey Lurie is the problem with that team.
I don't think so.
He expects way too much out of that Eagles team. It's fair, but he himself, Jeffrey Lurie, was the guy that made this quarterback controversy more real, not Doug Peterson. Shane, your thoughts? I mean, it was Lurie.
Yeah, it's tricky because you don't know where it really came from. Totally,
I mean, it was Lurie. It's pretty clear that it was Jeffrey Lurie from all the reports.
Well, I know, but yeah. I don't know. That's
it was fairly clear that it was Lurie.
Yeah.
And he's their GM, correct?
I think so. He's something.
He certainly is.
I think their GM or president. All right. Either way, I think he deserves the blame for this season, not Doug Peterson. But Hurts is nice. That guy's gonna be a real starter for a long time.
Here's my thinking on Hurts. Hurts is good, but I think people need to pause the hype truck on being
I kind of agree.
He's amazing right now. He'll be good in the future, but
he doesn't need this much hype. I get that.
The
I do agree.
Hype truck is a little too bright right now.
I agree with that. I actually do agree with that. It's been a little too bright.
He did well in his first game.
Did amazing in his second game, and the hype train was real.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's good, but he's not he's not amazing.
And I'll say this: give him pieces around him to work with, and see what he does, and then maybe I'll reconsider the hype.
I actually think they are good pieces on Philly, especially with that receiving core. I think it's better than people think it is. It just hasn't gotten the chance to be showcased.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a whole. It's just a whole lot of B- guys.
I guess right now, but I expect a lot of improvement from guys like Reagor, for example. I really see that team being
Yeah, the other problem I have with Hurts is I'm kind of tired of football looking less like a football game from quarterbacks and more like a track meet.
It looks no, it doesn't look like a track meet. It looks like backyard, barnyard football.
I'm just over it. It's supposed to be football. You're a quarterback. Throw the goddamn ball. Just throw it.
To be fair, that's a huge problem with
Stop
a bunch of the QBs.
running it. I get it. You're good at running it.
Again, this is the reason the college is continuing to creep its way in the NFL. All these guys have running skill sets. It might not be the best thing, but I'm cool with it. It makes the league more fun, I think. And that's what the league is about right now.
I don't mind it. I kind of don't mind it, but at the same time, it's I come back to the fact that who was the originator? Russell freaking Wilson.
Well,
and nobody
was it just him? Well, it was Drew Brees, but not with the running.
I'm talking about the originator of smaller guys coming into the league and being runners and throwing the ball. Russell started the trend of smaller dudes running the ball, and yet everybody else other than Russell Wilson who does it gets hyped to the moon, and everyone's like, Russell, whatever. He's too small. And
To be fair, he's not much of a runner anymore, which is actually great.
no, but I'm talking about like back when he came into the league. Like,
yeah, because he was the first one.
He led to the trend, and now everybody else who does it is amazing.
They're fun. That's what it is. They're fun, and Russell's still fun.
Russell was fun.
What I'm gonna say about Russell is what I feel about all these quarterbacks: Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Hurts. This is not something that's going to last. This is something you can do very early on in his career. Honestly, the real originator of this was really Michael Vick, but he never really got the time to really be that person.
Yeah,
but I will say that it is very clear that this is something that's an early career thing. You have to be able to, by year 3 or 4,
you got to learn how to throw the damn ball, though.
You got to learn to be a natural pocket passer.
And that's the argument I've been making this whole year about the Ravens guy
of Lamar. That's the art. But that's the argument that we've kind of all been on. Right. Is he got to throw the ball better.
He still hasn't learned to throw the ball, though. He's still just going. He's receding back into the. It's like they tried to force him to throw the ball, and then they're like, "Oh shit, we got to make the playoffs." They're like, "Oh, we got to make the playoffs now, so just run the ball."
I'll be honest with the Ravens. I've gone to the point where I think the Ravens are in that same boat where it's like we don't give a crap. And to be honest, I don't either. It's bad long term, but honestly, who cares?
Yeah,
I'm at the point where they're most successful right now.
Right. It's like
I will say, the quarterback out of all the tiny dancers, I like to call them. Out of all the small quarterbacks who are pretty much like copycats of each other. I'm talking like the Kylers. I'm talking the Russell. All these people. I actually think Kyler is the closest to being like actually a good balance of running and throwing.
Because he can actually throw.
He can actually throw the ball. Russell and Kyler. I think Kyler is on the same developmental path as Russell was.
Yes.
He's gonna run it a lot for maybe 3 or 4 years of his career, and then by the 5th year he'll lose a lot of his speed and have to throw the ball. But because he can actually throw the ball, I believe he'll have developed his arm up to that point, and boom, he's at the same position Russell is.
Right, and I will say that's Cliff Kingsbury knowing exactly what he's getting by drafting him because he liked him in college too. So it's like he knew exactly what he needed to do with him, and they're working it to perfection.
And I gotta say, Russell's a lot more scary now than he was before because his arm is, oh my god, his arm's so good now.
I would like to apologize about the Seahawks defense. That defense is nasty.
Would you like to go deeper onto your apologies, sir?
I would like to say this offense sucks.
Well, that's true. I mean,
that's my transition.
Wow, that was such a crab dance.
I would like to transition my point into saying that this defense clearly has shown that they're good, but this offense is so brutal.
Yeah.
Did it work?
It worked pretty much.
Yeah.
Here's my ordeal. Get Tyler Lockett the ball. It's not just DK and Russell. Shane, I'll let you speak about that O-line, but this brings me back to a bigger point. Actually, first, Shane, let's get to the O-line before I get to my bigger point. What's wrong with this O-line? Because it is probably their biggest issue right now.
Not probably. It is their biggest issue. Let's just be honest. I don't think it helps that they don't have what's his name?
Dwayne Brown's out, right?
No, the left guard.
Potty.
Yeah, I can never remember how to pronounce his last name. Anyways, they don't have him, which it doesn't help. They're already pretty weak at center and right tackle, and so not having that guy, that doesn't help, especially against a really good Rams defensive line. Especially when you got, as we saw yesterday, they were double teaming Aaron Donald a lot because
It didn't really work.
because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But even if it did work, there would be another guy coming through a wide open hole, and it is like, oh, I guess we forgot about him, and then he sacks Russell. And it's like, oh, come on, like it got to one point where I was sitting there watching the game with my sister's boyfriend, who's a Rams fan because he's from LA. That
Hey,
was fun. And he's like, all right, and on this play, Russell's going to get sacked. And I was like, yeah, probably. And then sure enough, he did. Yeah, it's funny, but it's kind of sad.
it's bad.
It's
Yeah.
bad.
Well, I'll say this, right? Like, I do think for as bad as our O-line is, we have some pieces in there that are like some young pieces that are going to develop well. The guy we drafted as our who's supposed to play guard, but he can also play center.
Damian Lewis.
Damian Lewis, I think he'll be a good he'll do well in the next couple of years as he progresses. Personally, I think I believe we'll have a good O-line in the future, but like we're at a point where our defense, luckily, is like able to hold it off for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk about the defense just for a second because one of the reasons why I've been such a defender of the Seahawks defense is the fact that we talked about this in the draft, Robert. The Seahawks have a system and a scheme, a very specific scheme that they
Cover 3 scheme.
Right, and they need very specific players for it to work. And they didn't have those players back when they were, running out there with their third stringers. And also, the problem is, we also talked about how Jamal Adams wasn't being very effective at the beginning of the year. Like he was
other than week 1 where it was crazy.
Week 1, right?
It was also injured, which didn't help.
Right. But then they go out and they get Dunlap, and I had a realization. By bringing in Dunlap, it opens up Adams to be more aggressive, and it also allows him to do multiple things and be able to put him in different positions on the field. Because if you have 2 guys blitzing from different sides of the field, both who can get in, both who can get past their guy no matter what, it puts the quarterback in a position where he has to be paying attention to both sides of the field, and it makes him more likely to throw a pick or to get sacked, or even to get sack fumbled. And so it's bringing this legion of boom level chaos that
we're getting close to it.
We're getting close to it, but it's bringing that sort of chaos that we last saw in the Legion of Boom.
I also had this realization that I wanted to discuss with you, Brandon. We talked about this schedule and how rough it, or how bad, or like how easy it was,
Yeah.
And how that could help them. It did. It absolutely did.
Yeah.
And like, I'm shocked that it did, but it did tremendously. So here's my bigger point after watching that Seahawks game. Here's my Super Bowl bubble. It only includes 3 teams: the Saints, the Bills, and the Chiefs. And just on the outside looking in is the Seahawks.
I don't think the Saints, to be honest. The Saints.
Yeah, I love their defense, and honestly, they're going to get Michael Thomas back in the playoffs. And I feel like that offense with Drew Brees is more natural, them throwing to Kamara. And I think their defense is really good.
Yeah.
The Bills, we saw tonight how crazy they are. Pretty much all Bills defense going to be rough in the playoffs. Let's not get it twisted.
Right.
But they could be like the bad schedule improvement kind of thing that we're seeing with the Seahawks. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. Yeah, we saw that performance against Atlanta. It wasn't pretty. I mean, how many teams have played pretty against Atlanta? Not many. But yeah, clearly, Brandon, we talked about this the first week of the season. We thought that offense would regress somewhat to a, stable league level.
Right.
If that makes sense. They have. but it doesn't make them push them out of Super Bowl contention, particularly how weird both conferences are, particularly the AFC. So that's my bubble. The Saints, the Saints, the Bills, and the Saints, the Bills, and the Chiefs. And honestly, outside looking in is the Seahawks, because if that offense improves, they're there. Like, it would not surprise me to see the Seahawks hoist the Lombardi Trophy right now.
Here's my thing. I was talking with Connor today, and we believed that if Green Bay gets knocked out, there is nothing standing in the Seahawks' way.
Green Bay be in this bubble?
I believe
they are.
I believe they should
honestly,
be.
they should be. So that I put them in there.
For me, New Orleans should be out. Green Bay should be in, and I believe if Green Bay somehow gets knocked out before the Seahawks face them, I think Seahawks are the NFC person for the Super Bowl. Just because, not saying they would win, because I don't think they would win. I think they'll have a very hard time beating either the Bills or the Chiefs, but it'll be one hell of a defensive battle if it's like Chiefs versus. I mean, but then you have to ask the question, like, this defense is only hitting their peak now, and it's against a pretty sus offense for the Chiefs.
I wouldn't say, again, I'm saying league level, not like I'm not saying it's like sus or horrible. It's just normal.
It's kind of sus sometimes.
But it's not like, honestly, like, I actually like that.
I personally think they're getting a little too big for their britches. I think that's the problem. I think the Chiefs are like, they're not coming to play because they think they're better. Yeah. And here's the thing. I would not be shocked if the Chiefs get surprised in the playoffs, get knocked out. Goodbye.
Me neither. I honestly, I feel like the Bills potentially, like, where we were 4 weeks ago is not where we are now. Like, I feel like the Bills can beat them. So I think the updated bubble would be the Packers, the Saints, the Chiefs, and the Bills. I have my reservations with that Seahawks offense, but we know it can get better. So the Seahawks can definitely be in that bubble. They're at least the closest. Everyone else, the Bucks, I don't care. They beat the Lions by a bunch. I really don't care.
Dolphins, no. Titans, no.
No. Ravens, no. Browns,
Washington,
no.
fuck no.
Rams, no. Bears, no. Cardinals, no. So, yeah, is that bubble, like, pretty accurate? Because it looks pretty accurate to me. You definitely have the Packers.
I mean, I think the four of them, and I think, honestly, Seattle could be included in that bubble.
Yeah.
It could be. I think it's my preference.
If you look at them 1v1 and how they match up against New Orleans and Green Bay, now that I think about it, it's actually pretty favorably. I mean, it's against – I think New Orleans would be a little tougher for them because their defense, I feel like, would give Seattle's offense a lot of trouble. However, I think Seattle's defense would do the same to them. I think.
Wait, you're saying about the Saints? Excuse me, what team are you?
Yeah. I think that would be a really tight, low-scoring game. That could go either way, just depending on where it is. I mean, a bunch of things. Not that, crowd noise is an advantage, but you do have, the cross-country trip and the time change and all that. And then, against the Packers, I mean, the Packers defense is not amazing. I mean, a lot of people are looking at them and saying, "Oh, well, their defense looked amazing last night." It's like,
it was the snow. They're playing in the snow.
Yeah.
Can I say that it is improving though? Like, it is.
No,
it's improving at the right time.
But it's not like, I wouldn't say it's amazing. It's not great. It's, I don't know. It's still like okay. And then I think that Green Bay's offense would be a challenge for any defense, really. Aaron Rodgers is playing at an MVP level, and
he deserves to be probably in the head of that conversation.
I think he probably is at this point, especially after yesterday. If that game had turned out opposite, where Derrick Henry had a big game, I feel like he'd kind of be pushed higher in that conversation, but he didn't, obviously. So
I have my MVP vote. I have my official MVP vote. It's done.
Who?
It's Derrick Henry.
Well, mine is Russell Wilson, and nobody can say anything. So.
Shane, who's your vote? Do you have a clear vote right now?
Shane, you better say Russell, or I'm gonna come to your house and beat you up.
Ask me next week.
Next week.
I have all my other all my other votes for every other award.
Yeah,
I feel like for some reason I feel like the Seahawks and Packers are just destined to face each other one more time for the chance to go to the Super Bowl. We've done it so many times.
and it's always nutty.
It's always crazy. It's always amazing, and it's going to happen again. And it's going to be a battle, and honestly, it's going to be a war of attrition. And to be honest, if Green Bay wins, good on them. They're going to go. If Seattle wins, great, cool. But there's a level of respect. You have to feel though. There's a level of respect that's being grown there between the Seahawks and the Packers fans. Like,
because their games are nasty.
we hate each other, but boy, do we respect each other.
And the games are fun. There's a shot. I think the Saints are there too. Can I also say something with the Seahawks? I really am starting to wonder if the Bears get the last seed, which it seems like they will at this point. Probably. Maybe the Rams.
Yeah, it's close.
The Bears are going to lose to the Packers, so there's no way.
Oh, yeah, no. So I guess it would probably be the Rams.
Rams
or Cardinals.
Yeah.
Cardinals are 6,
probably
8, and 7.
Oh, yeah, the Cardinals. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Let's say the Cardinals or the Bears. Are the Seahawks in a better position if they play the Cardinals and the Bears on Wild Card Weekend? And that's going to be crazy because we're going to have 3 games Saturday and Sunday. Are they in a better position than the Packers and the Saints? Well, actually, the Saints don't even have a bye. But let's say the Packers and the Saints both. Are they in a better position at the 3 seed than the Packers or the Saints because they're playing the Cardinals or the Bears?
Well, if the Seahawks are the 3 seed, they would play the 6 seed.
Yeah. We play the Rams.
Which would be the Rams.
So,
which, yes, I would very much like to play the Rams again.
So do you
think, depending on Goff?
Right. Goff is probably going back for the playoffs. I will say that, let's even put the Rams in this conversation. Are the Seahawks in a better position because they're playing pretty teams they can definitely beat on Wild Card Weekend than the Saints or the Packers?
I mean, I feel like the Saints versus Cardinals, let's say. I feel like it's a pretty easy game for the Saints, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But this is interesting because it would be Bucks, Washington. I think Tampa wins that
easy.
At this point.
Yeah.
And then Seattle, LA. That would be.
I think we already know that answer. It'd be tough, but we know that answer.
I think it would be a close game. It would be
close, but I think Seahawks have that.
Probably. They probably do, especially if they're healthy. Fingers crossed nothing happens in Arizona this week.
God, don't say that. I would.
Yeah. So anyways, and then so then it would be Tampa versus Green Bay in the divisional round. And
Seahawks Saints.
Seattle at New Orleans. Those would be very interesting games. They both would be. Tampa obviously destroyed Green Bay earlier in the year. Would that happen now?
They're not. Tampa is not good. Tampa is not good.
Yeah,
they're just not
were a much
good
team at the beginning of the year, I think. Which is funny considering they picked up AB in the process, but that's that. Yeah, this is I don't know. This is and then Seahawks Saints. I mean,
you can go either way, honestly.
That could go either way. I mean, I feel like New Orleans is a little better, but they have choked in the playoffs every year in the last few years. So
I think the Saints are more complete. I think they're more complete at this point.
Yeah, it's I feel like even though they don't have the deep ball or whatever, I feel like they aren't quite as limited offensively
because of
because
Kamara. Straight
yeah,
up.
and also because they don't have a crappy offensive line. So but that would be an interesting game, nevertheless. And then one of those two versus Green Bay in Lambeau for the NFC Championship. That would be cool too.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten to see a NFC Championship in Lambeau for a while, but I don't know. I'm excited. The playoffs are going to be fun this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AFC side, we're done with the Steelers, I think. That Colts game was rough. It's pretty much the Chiefs and the Bills. They're on a fast track to the title at this point.
Right.
Brandon, do you feel that way
Yeah.
pretty clearly as well?
Yeah, it's gonna be Chiefs Bills.
Yeah, there's nothing else here.
It will be an interesting road getting there though, because if it's based off this, then you have Bills Browns.
It's fun.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Wouldn't the Browns be eliminated if they lose to the Steelers?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It's really weird. Either way, let's just stick
Bills
with what we
Colts
have here.
I think it's more likely to be Bills Colts.
Yeah, probably.
Well, we'll see.
Which sucks for the Browns, but
I think they win either of those regardless. But still, then you have Steelers Ravens.
Oh yeah, with how the Ravens are playing right now.
Honestly, I think the Ravens win that.
Right now, yeah, it might be there too. Yeah,
I don't know.
It's tough.
And then Miami, Tennessee.
Probably take the
Titans.
Titans.
I like Miami, to be honest.
You like Miami? Okay.
I do. Just a little bit, but I do.
I like Derrick Henry in that matchup. I think it's that simple.
Oh, that's true. I don't know. That defense, they're good, though. I don't know. That's tricky. So then you have, let's see. Then you would have Chiefs versus Ravens.
Chiefs win that. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Then Bills versus.
It would be like the Titans or the Dolphins.
Bills versus Titans or Dolphins.
Yeah, it does. I think the Bills find the way out of that. This is the playoffs, not Tuesday night.
And then what's the other one? And then
that's pretty much it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's weird. Some of these are gonna be crazy. Week 17 is gonna be fun. See, is there anything else NFL wise that I wanted to get to today?
I think that's it.
That's pretty much it, other than the Chargers almost collapsing, but found a way to win that one. Washington crumbled, but like Dwayne Haskins, honestly.
Yeah, the NFC East has just been bazonko all year.
It's been. Can you honestly, a really bad NFC East team is gonna make the playoffs over a 10-win AFC team, which was not the intention of this playoff format.
But that's what's going to happen when you have to have a division winner in the top 4 seed.
Actually, let's go to that Monday night game before we do some NBA stuff and wrap it up.
A rule I have been wanting to change forever and ever and ever. Anyway.
The Patriots. Brandon, what does their future look like, particularly at the quarterback position?
Not Cam Newton.
It's not Cam Newton, but do you think it's maybe Trey Lance or somebody else? And do you think getting a rookie quarterback is the best option for this team moving forward in 2021?
It's not a Fig Newton. It's not a Cam Newton. But it might be a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to draft a quarterback in the draft. I don't know how they're going to do that.
I mean, they have a top, They're probably going to have a top 15, 20 pick.
Do you see them try?
Jimmy G?
Maybe.
Who?
Jimmy Garoppolo?
G?
It's a real possibility.
I could also see them just throwing picks at a team higher up the board and be like, please let us come up the draft board.
The BYU kid Wilson might be an option. I saw that he was on Mel Kiper's board as we're getting closer to the draft. I don't know.
I feel like, to me, he's someone, and I'm sure, like, as we get, like, once the season's over and we get into March, we'll start having more conversations about actual players. But I watched him play a couple times, and he seems like a college quarterback who
Yeah,
is not going to transition well into pros.
that's mostly the case for some of these BYU guys. But we talked about sort of how the college and pro transition is very, or at least semi-seamless. Shane, your thoughts on sort of the future direction of this Patriots team? Also, keep this in mind. They're going to get a bunch of the guys back, presumably, that were COVID opt-outs, and they were huge players for their
Sure.
previous success.
But they still need a quarterback.
They still need a quarterback.
So
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? Yeah. The first thing I would still really want to see, this is probably a long shot, but I just would love to see Dak and Jimmy G trade. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen.
Dak would need a big extension. It would kind of be like a sign and trade.
do you think Dak what if Dak went to the Patriots?
I think Jerry Jones has been fairly clear that Dak is going to get a long-term deal. I don't know what the probability of that is, but I think at this point they're just like, we're going to give him one and that's it. That's kind of what the vibe looks like for the Jones family right now. That's the vibe that everyone's kind of getting, is they're just going to give him the deal. Maybe not what he wants, but at least maybe closer to it. Like I really feel like they're going to get a deal done.
You know, we thought the quarterback free agency was nuts last year. It's going to be even crazier this offseason.
Do you think Cam's going to get a job?
No.
I mean, I'm sure he'll get at least a backup job. Starter?
Well, no, I'm not talking starter. Backup job. Do you think he'll get a job?
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think he'll be a backup. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he'll get a job.
No, he definitely probably will. I mean,
I do feel bad for Cam because as much as I hate happy Cam Newton, I hate sad Cam Newton is even more depressing.
Yeah. To be honest, he looks pretty good in New England in terms. I mean, it's been a rough year, but
he looks
based on
great
what
in their
New England,
uniforms.
what New England's asked of him, he's done a good job. It's just not enough to get over the hump to make the playoffs. It just isn't.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some NBA teams before we go. Brandon, I'll let you go off on the Warriors. Have fun. Go ahead.
Oh boy! You know what really grinds my gears?
The Warriors.
You know what really grinds my gears?
The Warriors.
The Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Just I think there needs to be a new sad basketball player meme where instead of sad Michael Jordan, it should be sad Curry just sitting there just moping, just like like I feel bad for the guy. Like he went from having 3 years of mega star super duper great teams, and now he has a bunch of schmucks just like doping around on the court.
Can we wait a week on this?
Have you seen them play?
Draymond's not playing.
Yeah, but
I think Draymond changes that team a lot. I think Oubre gets better. I think Wiggins gets better. We know that James Wiseman is going to win Rookie of the Year. He already has my vote. That's over. Can we wait a week on? I mean, they're still going to not make the playoffs, but can we wait a week to see if they're actually I see that they're not good, but I'm waiting for Draymond really at this point.
Can I also just
I think
ask?
they're going to be NBA champs.
Can I just ask Curry to do me a hot favor and
dominate your fantasy team?
Just shoot the ball. Just
you want bad? He has terrible efficiency.
Just take the damn ball and shoot it.
So you don't care about efficiency?
No. Because, you're Steph Curry. You're supposed to shoot threes. Stop giving it to players to dunk it or lay it up. I didn't draft you for assists.
Well, it's nice to have. I don't have any assists.
Well, that sounds like a you problem, doesn't it?
It is a me problem. Shane, your thoughts on the Warriors and their struggles?
You know, I thought, well, they'll be better. You know, they got Curry back from his injury, Klay Thompson, all this stuff. Yeah. Well, we get the report that Klay's out, and I'm like, okay, that's not ideal, But they still have Curry. They'll probably be fine. Steve Kerr's a great coach. Whatever. They got Green, Oubre.
Bring in
They'll
Oubre
help out
after the
Steph.
Clay trade, and then Wiggs was still there.
They'll help out Steph. Yeah, this is rough. This is rough. Nothing's going the optimistic way I had hoped. At least so far. It's still early, but I'm not looking like much is gonna happen. But I don't know. It's weird how losing one guy has like totally imploded them, and he's not even like the main guy.
He's
quote
so
unquote.
important to their success.
Right.
He's so important.
Yeah.
I'm really
And
waiting for
I don't
Draymond to
think we
come
ever-
back.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I don't think we realized it until now, or at least I didn't. But, anyways.
Yeah, are you waiting for Draymond too, Shane, or are you kind of done with them?
Well, yeah. I mean, you still want to give him because it is. I mean, it's the first week of the season. Like it's teams can turn around. I mean, look at the Miami Dolphins. They started out 1-2, didn't they? And now look at them; they're a playoff team. So it's I mean, no, I don't want to bail on them yet because it's not like we're halfway through the season. They've been playing like this all along. It's still early. They don't have Draymond yet. We don't totally know how they're going to be. Let's just be patient for a second. Again, I'm not expecting anything to happen.
I'm expecting him to be I want him to be the 9th or the 10th, probably.
But yeah,
I'm gonna wait 1 month.
realistic.
I'm gonna wait 1 month, and then we'll figure it out.
But yeah.
Let's go to from Kevin Durant's former team to his new team. Nets best bench in the NBA.
Huh.
Brandon, is
No
that
comment.
no comment after you want your Raptors to get seated for the best bench?
No comment.
Shane, do you have a comment on this?
Sorry, my computer froze. What were you saying?
Brooklyn Nets best bench in the NBA.
I don't know. What do you think?
I'm starting to say, yeah. I think they're number one. I mean,
yeah.
Like even I think a bunch of
Who
their
else
guys
would
rest.
even be up there.
So I think Toronto stays up there a little bit.
Well, yeah.
The Lakers have a nasty bench.
You're done with the Clippers.
Yeah, I like their bench. I'm comfortable with their bench. Like they have so many guys that can start on any other team. Like then that's what the Nets have. They have got like that entire bench could be a starter for like I don't know, maybe a good portion of their guys could start for any of the bottom teams like in the Eastern Conference. It feels like,
Yeah, I mean Nets are such a weird team to me because it's like they have like they got their stars, and it's like you think, oh yeah, this team's they're gonna carry this team, but then it's like, oh wait, they have this great bench too. But then I'm looking at them, I'm like, wait, are they really that amazing though? I mean, they look pretty good, but
Dinwiddie, Allen.
I don't know. I mean, it's like
I'll pull up their bench.
You look at them last.
Oh yeah, Dinwiddie's out for the year. Yeah, that's right. He's out for the year. I forgot about that. Even so, I still think this bench is probably Yeah, I guess it probably isn't number one without Dinwiddie, but at least it's top two. Like, then you probably put the Lakers above them.
Yeah.
Man, Dinwiddie out for the year sucks, man. But seriously, this bench is nasty. Like, is LeVert's going to get more time? Joe Harris probably going to get a bit more time. Jared Allen, semi. I honestly hate the Jordan Allen split. Allen's a much better player, but whatever. We'll see Allen on a new team next season. Yeah, but I guess maybe the Lakers bench number. Like, I honestly love the Lakers bench though.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think the Lakers bench deserves a lot of credit for their success last year because, when you're on a team with a guy like LeBron, as good as he is, he's aging and he's not, 100% anymore. So, I mean, you got to have a really good supporting cast, and not all of their starters are like amazing, but they just have a lot of depth overall, so it's like kind of rounds it out. But
yeah. Kuzma's played remarkably well. I think Markieff has been out a bit. I don't know. Marc Gasol, we know what Marc Gasol is at this point in his career, but Harrell and Trotter, in those bench rotations, that pick and roll is one of the best pick and rolls in the NBA, which is incredible. But it is. It's really good. And it's only going to improve. Wesley Matthews, we know what he can bring into this team. Look, their bench isn't deep, but it is semi deep with Taylor Horton Tucker as well, and he doesn't get any minutes to be very productive. But yeah, I guess it probably does without Dinwiddie, but even so, like I love the Nets bench too. So I don't know. Brandon, what's your overall thoughts on these two teams, the Lakers and the Nets?
Yeah, I think they're good. I would go ahead and I would probably say that I think the Nets have a little bit better bench, just a little bit deeper. It's seamless. How I don't know if they'll be able to continue what they did at the beginning of the year, where they in their first game, where the Nets just like it was so seamless, where one you took some players off, put other players on, and it was the same level of success. But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's only the first week, but I think those were kind of the main three teams that caught my eye. Also, I want to talk about this before we go. The Clippers, without Kawhi, got murked by the Mavericks on Sunday. And I mean, oh my God, it was horrible.
Yeah, they
Like,
that was bad.
they got absolutely clapped. It is what is it? This at halftime they were up by 50. That is the largest halftime lead in the shot clock era in the NBA. I mean, this concerns me. Like it does with the Clippers. Does it not for you guys? It puts the Mavs up there now, but the Clippers, yikes. That's an uh-oh moment this early in the year.
Yeah. That's really bad.
You should not have that happen with one player out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a sign that Dallas is really good as well.
Yeah. It is a concern because we know Kawhi is going to miss games.
Yeah.
If they continue to play this bad without Kawhi in the lineup, it freaks you out. It makes you nervous for if they're even going to have. They're going to make the playoffs, obviously, but they're not going to have the top seed playing like this without Kawhi. They're going to be close. But the Mavericks look like a contender. and a serious one at that.
Yeah, there definitely could be. I mean, I think Luka's probably a top 5 player in the NBA at this point. Maybe even top 3. I mean, that guy is just such a great all-around player. So, that obviously helps them, but having such a good core being built up around him is just going to make things even better. And they're doing this all without what's his name?
Without Kristaps. Without
Porzingis. Yeah, and once he's back, he's in the fold, and they start going around as a team with everybody. Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be a legit team, without a doubt. I mean, holy cow!
Brandon, you're definitely high on Kristaps. Brandon, what impact do you think he'll make for this team that's already really good with Luka?
He's just gonna bring that like big man presence and like his ability to rebound and just kind of fight down low for for those scrappy rebounds and on offense. I think
he's a nice stretch forward too. I think that's going to be his primary role, as it has been for the last few years.
Yeah, it's just like he's really good at the rebound dish role, just having that guy who's able to get the ball and dish it. It's gonna just bring their team that much better.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and that's it. I think so this is our last show of the year. Actually, speaking of which, favorite moments of 2020 from the show. What kind of stands out from you guys? This is our last show of the year.
Joe Flacco, the GOAT.
Brandon, do you have anything that stands out for you from this year?
I think our draft coverage.
Yeah.
Especially night one.
Yeah, that was fun.
Robert, that was a lot of fun. Some crazy stuff went down. I think my favorite moment is my
tight ends moment.
My whacked out reaction to all the tight ends after having after having talked every minute of that show for 4 hours talking about the first night and being having it finished with just all those tight ends was just what are you doing?
Yeah, that's definitely my favorite moment for myself too. The draft was all the drafts, the fantasy drafts, the NFL draft coverage that we did was super makeshift because we were going to actually be in that studio when we were at U-Wave and all this stuff, and it was gonna it was gonna be crazy then. But the amount of hours we put into that, and for all of you to be super excited about that was super cool.
I remember when the Seahawks had their pick and
we're all just
Brannan, you and I were like Xavier McKinney, and then we were so salty when they didn't.
McKinney's learned a little bit with the Giants.
In hindsight, though, they got a much better safety.
True.
They ended up getting a much better safety, and Jordan Brooks has been
he's balled out.
Very beneficial for them, especially with Irvin being out. But yeah, and then I remember right after that, you called the Jordan Love pick. You were like, they're gonna take Jordan Love. I was like, yeah, whatever. And they did, and I was like, oh
yeah. I just this year's been a very strange year to go through.
Very strange.
But this has been a lot of fun doing this show, and we'll continue it. For everybody who's actually listened to us, thank you.
Very much so.
I'm sure Robert and Shane look forward to continuing our ridiculous takes on sports in the new year.
Yeah. Oh, and the Don Long interview. That was
great too. Hopefully we'll have more interviews in the new year.
Yeah, absolutely. That interview was super enjoyable. A great opportunity for all of us. So we thank him for joining us. But that was
if that actually happened.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was an amazing interview. We worked hard on that too. Yeah, the amount of hours we put into this show, everything that we do behind the scenes and everything, it's crazy. So I appreciate you guys because you Shane, you Brandon, you guys make the show every week what it is. You guys are the main guys. So thank you so much for that.
And you.
Yeah, to some degree, but it
It's your
really is
thing.
you guys that make it what it is.
You keep me and Shane's craziness in check, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
to an
Without
extent,
you, without you, we
extent.
would just be
it
like
would be even worse.
two loose children in a candy shop.
I really want to see. I really desperately want to see me make an outline.
one.
Now your opinion's wrong.
I really want to see you guys do a show without me at some point. I'll do an outline and I'll have you guys
it'll
do
be
it.
it'll be for those actually listening.
Yeah.
it'll be
Right, that is
liquid
coming up.
talk.
That,
Which
by
we're
the way,
planning on
that is
recording
going on.
soon. So
quick preview that is coming up pretty soon, right? I think
yeah,
you guys
we're
are recording.
probably
very
gonna
soon.
record it sometime this week. So
Yeah, so keep a
Alright.
lookout for that for sure. And yeah, great 2020. Weird transition from the studio to Zoom. Actually, I do want to ask you guys about that. What was that transition like for both of you?
rough at first.
Yeah, I didn't like it at first, but I mean, yeah, it works. I mean, I wish we were like, in the station,
Yeah.
in person doing it, but hey,
It's
strange times.
interesting.
You gotta adapt with those times.
It's also interesting because we've kind of gone from being just relying on the station to kind of creating our own thing we've got going on, which
yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
kind of digging. So
Yeah,
I think it worked out for the better in the end.
yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think with Zoom, it created us more opportunities. We're on Spotify now full time, and also some other podcast stuff which are coming. And then on
More
top
creative
of
freedom too.
and
Yeah.
yeah, more creative freedom. And I think the biggest thing is just getting a lot more content out. It does take a lot of work as we're a 3-man group, but the amount of content that we've been able to put out and seeing you guys enjoying it has been awesome.
So yeah.
We will take
2020, ladies and gentlemen.
2020
Yeah, exactly.
wrapped up. We will
We'll
take
see you
the New
next
Year's.
week, next month, and next year.
Yeah. We will take New Year's off as we did for Christmas. So we're probably going to be back on the 10th or the 11th. We're not entirely sure yet, at least when we're recording. The 10th or the 11th. I think the 11th is the national championship game. So we might want to figure that. I don't know. We'll see what our schedules look like. But we're going to take the New Year's week off. Take
Or like the fourth Monday night.
Yeah. I was thinking
New Year's week actually.
Right, it is New Year's week. I think what's gonna happen, and I feel like this is for the best for us scheduling wise, is we're gonna be back either on the 10th or the 11th, wild card weekend, national championship. So that's I think where the schedule is gonna be placed. So we will see you guys on either of those days. I think they'll probably be up on the 11th or 12th, depending on how we do that. But that will kick off our New Year's show. Then for the playoffs, we're gonna be wild card weekend, divisional weekend, conference weekend. Either Sunday or Monday. Pro Bowl week we're taking off, and then for the Super Bowl we're going to be in. Right. This Pro Bowl is weird because it's Madden somehow. It's something like Madden 21 like experience of some sort. I don't know. It's going to be interesting either way. We'll get to why we don't like the Pro Bowl in the Conference Championship week show. So we'll skip Pro Bowl week, and then we'll be back the Monday after the Super Bowl. That is the January schedule, and I think we're going to go straight back to the Friday schedule, but that could change. So that would be our January 2021 schedule. And we will see you all on the 10th or the 11th. So have a great New Year, everybody. Enjoy it. Stay safe, of course. Stay healthy, and we'll see you all in the new year.
Here's to a good year, hopefully.
Yes, a much better year
Fingers
for
crossed.
sure. For sure.
Optimistic for sure.
For sure. All right. Have a great night.